All right, guys, this is the video for lesson 2.4, equations and solutions. So we've learned in 2.2 and 2.3 how to solve equations and get what the variable equals. And now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of introduce something a little bit new, something that talks about equations that have different types of solutions. So up until this point, we've been talking about equations that have one solution. So what that means is once I'm done, I get x equals something, and that's the one solution. But now what we're going to do is we're going to learn what equations that have no solution look like, and equations that have all solutions looks like. And what we mean by all solutions is that any real number will work to make that equation true. So the steps to determining the number of solutions an equation is to first solve the equations using the don't call me after midnight notes from 2.3. So, the D, distribute, C, combine, M, move, A, add, subtract, M, multiply, divide. Once you've done that, then you'll see something, a pattern type of thing that happens, and then we'll decide, does it have one solution, no solution, or is it all solutions? So we've been kind of doing these things in the warm-ups, these kind of, balancing things. So what we want to do here is we're going to, the boxes are going to represent x's, okay? And this is a balance beam, so this is kind of like, that means if they're balanced, if they're level, then they're equal. So what I've got over here, we're going to let the boxes equal x. So I've got, each of these is an x. So there's 4 x's here, so 4x. And then these two are x's. So I've got 2 x's plus a 6. Okay? So we're going to solve this using the Don't Call Me After Midnight acronym. So D is distribute. There's nothing to distribute because there's no grouping symbols. The C is to combine. So on this side of the equation, I have nothing to combine. And on that side of the equation, there's nothing to combine. So we have no combining to do. So then the M is to move. So I'm going to move my x's to one side of the equal sign by zeroing them out on one of the sides. So I'm just going to subtract 2 here, 2x, which means I have to subtract 2 from this side of my equation as well. Okay, when I do that, I get a 0 here, and I just have 0 plus nothing is, 6 plus nothing is 6. And then 4x minus 2x will leave me with a 2x. Okay. And then so then our next step would be to add or subtract, but we don't have anything over here with the x, so we don't have to add or subtract. Then the last step is to multiply or divide. So to get x all alone, we need to divide by 2. Divide by 2. So that becomes a 1, so we get x equals 3. This right here is what we mean by one solution. Okay, so basically what it's saying is that anytime I solve an equation, x can only equal one number. So one solution, we're going to kind of write a little definition down here. Okay, x, or any variable really, can only be equal to one number. Okay, in this case, it can only be equal to 3. In all the other cases we've been doing, in all the notes and all the practice we've been doing up till this point, it's always been equal to one number. X equals 7, x equals a third, x equals -5, something like that. Okay, so you would get something that looks like this: a variable equals some number. So that's kind of what it looks like. It would be a variable, some variable equals a number. Okay. All right, this next one over here, let's move on to no solution. So again, these boxes are represented, they represent an x, and this is still equal. So this is x plus 3, and this is x plus 5. Okay, so again, following the Don't Call Me After Midnight, D is to distribute. There's no grouping symbols, so we have nothing to distribute. C is for combine. So there's nothing to combine on the right side, nothing to combine on the left side, so we're good there. The m is to move, so we want to move one of the x's to one side by zeroing them out. So I'm just going to move it over to the left like we always do. So remember, this is a 1 and this is a 1. So I'm going to subtract 1x because I want those to zero out, which means I have to subtract 1x here. Over here, I'm left with 5. And over here, this is where you start to realize, wait, something's not the same as these one solution ones over here. When I do that, this actually zeroes out as well. 1 minus 1 is 0. And what I have left with is 3 equals 5. Well, 3 doesn't actually equal 5. Okay, it never will, it never can. So a no solution 1, I'll write its definition down here. Okay, so what's going to happen is, first of all, the variables are going to cancel out. On both sides, it'll be all gone. Okay. Then what happens from there is that variables will cancel out. You are left with, oh my gosh, I just can't write today. Left with two numbers that do not equal each other. Okay? So the first thing that happens is the variables cancel out. And then the next thing that happens is that you're left with two numbers, in this case a 3 and a 5, that don't actually equal each other. Okay? So you have, what it looks like is that there's a number here, there's another number here, a different number, and they don't actually equal each other. That's what that line through the equal sign means. They don't equal each other. Okay? So the last one. What this means is that there's no number we can put into this equation that will make it balanced, because they both have an x. So remember, this was x plus 3 equals x plus 5. If I pick 7 for x, I'm going to get 10 equals 12. That doesn't work out. Okay, so there's never a number that will make it equal. The equation is actually not equal to each other. All right, the last one is all solutions. So again, this is an x and this is an x. This is still equal. So we've got x plus 4 equals x plus 4. Now I'm hoping what some of you guys can see right away is that they're equal to each other. Okay, but we're going to kind of work it out and still show for those of you guys who don't see it. So our first thing in Don't Call Me After Midnight is D. So there's nothing to distribute, no grouping symbols. The next one is C, to combine. Nothing to combine there, nothing to combine there, so there's no combining. The M is move, so we want to move our variables to one side of the equation. So again, these are ones, right? 1x. So I'm going to subtract 1x over here, which is going to zero those out. And over here I'm left with just the 4. Now I'm going to also subtract the 1x over here, which again, it's going to cancel those variables out again. And I'm only left with 4 over here. So what you're left with is 4 equals 4. Okay? So you can see the difference between this one and this one. These ones actually equal each other and these ones don't. So the definition for all solutions, or just kind of the little things, is, again, the first thing that's going to happen is variables are going to cancel each other out. Okay, so that happens on both of these. But the difference is on this one, you're left with two numbers that do equal each other. Okay, so like example, 4 equals 4. So what it looks like is some number that equals that same number. Okay? Okay, so now we've got 3 types of equations. We've got a one solution equation, a no solution equation, and an all solutions equation. So on the next page, at the top, you'll see that there are these first three right here. This is like saying they already solved the equation for you. And this is what we ended up with. We have an 8 equals 8, a negative 12 equals 10, and an x equals 6. What type of solution would these be? Well, if they equal each other, okay, that would be what we're calling all solutions or infinite solutions. Okay, so this one we'll call all solutions. Okay. When it's two numbers and they don't equal each other, that's no solution. And then when it's just the variable equals a number, right? Variable equals a number, that is one solution. And that one solution is 6. Okay. So hopefully those three were pretty easy, just because all you're doing, you've already solved it. You don't have to do any of that kind of work. But now we've got 3 where we need to do the actual work. We need to actually solve it and see if it's going to be an all solution, a no solution, or a one solution. Okay, so we're going to start this one. So I'm just going to keep this right here so we have the steps in case we're not sure what the steps are. But the first step is in D, which is distribute. So I've got right here where I need to distribute into this set of parentheses. Okay, remember, distribution is multiplication. So 2 times 4x will give me 8x. 2 times negative 1 will give me a negative 2. And then I don't have any distribution over here, so I'm just going to rewrite it. Okay. So my next step is to combine like terms. So there's nothing to combine there and nothing to combine over here. So we'll move on to move. So I'm just going to move to the left side. So I'm going to subtract 8x here because a positive, I want to do the opposite, which is subtraction, which means I have to do it here. Okay. So these zero out. And over here I'm left with just negative 2. And then over here, these actually zero out as well. And again, I'm left with negative 2. So when I've got numbers that are the same, variables cancel out, right? Variables cancel out. But in this case, I'm left with the same numbers that actually equal each other. That means it's all solutions. It doesn't matter what number I pick to put in place for x, they will create equal equation. The sides will equal each other, okay? All right, let's try the next one. So the first step is to distribute, but there's no grouping symbols, so there's nothing to distribute. C is combine like terms, nothing to combine, nothing to combine. So now it's M, we're gonna move. So again, this is a 1x here. So I'm going to subtract 1x, subtract 1x. These zero out, and all I have left over here is 21. Over here, 4 minus 1x is 3x, and then the 12 plus 12. Next step is A, so add or subtract. So I'm going to circle my variable, and then I'm going to get rid of what's outside the circle by adding or subtracting. In this case, I always want to do the opposite. So this is adding. So the opposite of adding is subtracting. Okay. Here, these are gone. They're zeroed out, just like we did up here where we zeroed these out. And all I have left is 3x plus nothing, which is 3x. And then 21 minus 12 is 9. My last step would be M for multiplying or dividing. 3 is currently multiplying x, so I want to divide. X equals 3. Okay, so because I have a variable equals a number, that's a one solution, and that one solution is 3. So when you have a one solution equation, you have to give me the actual solution. So in this case, it's 3. Okay. Last one, let's do this one over here. So again, the first step is D, There's no grouping symbol, so we have nothing to distribute. C, combine like terms. So over here I have some terms I can combine. So I can combine this term with an X and this term with an X, and this is a 1. So that's 5x, because 4 plus 1 is 5, and then I have the plus 3. So 5x plus 3 equals, and then I have nothing to combine over here. I just have 5x plus 1. So 5x plus 1. Okay. Next step would be to move the variables from one side to the other. So I'm going to move them to the left by subtracting 5x here, which means I have to subtract 5x here. These zero out, and I'm left with 3. And these zero out, and I'm left with 1. And 1 does not actually equal 3. So because my variables canceled out, and I'm left with numbers that do not equal each other, this one has no solution. Okay, now you have 3 that you're going to do on your own. So make sure you do those, and make sure I see them if you're doing this outside of class. Thanks, guys.